Hello everybody, welcome to the weather forecast. I am Mr. G, your meteorologist. We got a forecast to talk about for you guys today, and I'm not gonna waste much time here blabbing, so we're gonna jump right on into that forecast and take a look at our current surface map of the radar right now. And what we're seeing is some snow here across parts of the upper Midwest near Minnesota, northern Iowa, as well as down to parts of southeastern South Dakota, as well as Nebraska. We are seeing an area of snow. Now this snow is relatively light, and this is associated with our storm system that's moving across the upper Midwest right now, and that's going to be what's going to be bringing some severe weather here across the Ohio Valley. Today we're going to see that potential for some severe weather developing later this evening as we see that warm front lifting to the north, and we're going to see this snow move across the upper Midwest. Now this snow is not going to amount to much. Some areas are going to pick up about an inch, maybe 1 to 3 inches for the most part. For the high end, an inch on the low end. Here in the Twin Cities, we're looking at about an inch of snow. Now, mind you, there's also a lot of winds blowing across the plains as well. We're seeing 40-mile-an-hour wind gusts, so blowing snow is going to be likely with this event. Even though we're not seeing heavy snowfall accumulations, we are seeing whiteout conditions out there because we have that blowing snow with those very high winds, and we're seeing very high winds across the plains down there over Texas and Oklahoma and Kansas and into Arkansas as well as Missouri, where we have a critical fire weather. We also have some very large fires burning across Texas right now. North Texas, we have about 200,000 plus acres of land that is currently burning because of brush fires down across North Texas as a result of that very dry air with that low humidity and those warm temperatures as well. Let's take a look at our next map. These are our current temperatures across the country right now, and you can see where that frontal boundary is. If you take a look right here, this is where our cold front is right now. You can see those warm temperatures out ahead of that front. We're looking at those 80s throughout much of the Midwest and into the Great Lakes. We're seeing a temperature of 77 right now in Chicago, and we're looking at 84 down there in St. Louis. And we're also looking at temperatures in the 70s and 80s down across the state of Texas. There were some 90s as well, but we got a little bit of cloud cover now as that frontal boundary is passing by. So we're seeing a lot of those warmth. And that warmth is going to be spreading further to the east. Right now, the east, so we're looking at a lot of 50s out east, but we're going to be seeing those 70s out east as we head into your Wednesday and Thursday. We're going to be seeing that warmth as that cold front sweeps through and sweeps on toward the east coast and takes those warm temperatures out to the Atlantic, and that cold air is going to be right behind it. Now, mind you, that cold air is only going to last for about a day, but we're going to see temperatures drop as much as 60 degrees in some areas, especially around Kansas City. We're also seeing it here across the upper Midwest, where we're seeing those temperatures in the 70s and 80s across many areas, but we're going to see those temperatures drop down into the teens and 20s as that front passes through. So a very sharp change in the weather, going to be very quick hitting as well, although brief, but it will be pretty dramatic for such a brief event that's going to take place. Here is our dew points right now. We're seeing those higher dew points down across East Texas and the Gulf Coast, and we're seeing those warmer dew points working their way toward the Ohio Valley. The dew points are a little bit low. Now, I do have to point out that severe weather threat, there's a big contingency on that severe weather threat. A lot of times with severe weather, you have to have all of the ingredients, and you need a trigger. You need everything to fall into place. And there's a very strong cap in the atmosphere. So that means there's a layer of drier, warmer air in the mid-levels. So any thunderstorm clouds that are trying to develop, those cumulonimbus clouds, are going to hit that area of warmer and drier air. So that's going to stunt the growth of any thunderstorms. And now, if they can burst through that cap and clear it, burst through, and those thunderstorms can develop, that's how you're going to see that severe weather. That act of bursting through that cap relieves a lots of energy, so we're going to see it releases a lot of energy, so then we can see those severe thunderstorms capable of producing EF2 or stronger tornadoes, 75 mile per hour winds, those straight line winds, not the tornado winds, but those straight line outflow winds could be in excess of 75 miles per hour, and we're going to see 2-inch diameter hail as well. But that is if I'm going to emphasize that if those thunderstorms can develop with a very strong cap and dry air in the mid levels of the atmosphere and relatively weak dew points, in my opinion. I would like to see those dew points that we're seeing down across Texas and the Gulf Coast in the Ohio Valley, but I'm not seeing those dew points yet. Those dew points are a little bit low. So I have pause and concerns that those thunderstorms may not fully materialize as it's being advertised. The models keep indicating, but I'm not seeing those things come together quite yet. It could suddenly see that moisture surge northward. Maybe it'll break that cap and we can get those thunderstorms to develop. But I think there's a possibility that we're going to be seeing evening and nighttime thunderstorms, because even though it's pretty late in the day, and this is prime thunderstorm hours usually between 2 p.m. and 8 p.m. are your prime thunderstorm building hours. It's 4:30 here in the Central Daylight Time, in the Central Time Zone. It's currently 4:30, and I'm not quite seeing that development yet. But here we are when we look at the temperatures, and as we can see, you can see where those winds are blowing across the plains. We're seeing areas where winds are exceeding 50 miles per hour down across the southern plains over North Texas and New Mexico. This is where all those fires are right now. We can see it's being fueled by 50 mile per hour winds, and we're seeing those 50 mile per hour winds, 40 mile per hour winds, and 44 mile per hour winds all the way up into Minnesota. So a lot of gusty winds out there as we see that cold air sweeping in behind that cold front. But in a lot of areas, this cold front is dry. So what it's going to do is change those winds around and drop the temperatures. A lot of times storms their energy can translate. Some storms, the energy translates in a lot of precipitation, a lot of rain, a lot of snow. Sometimes it's just wind and the change in the temperatures. And I'm seeing a lot of that with this system. Lack of precipitation, but a lot of wind and a drastic temperature changes as well. So here we are, and one of the things about that drastic temperature changes is that cold air is so cold that its temperatures are falling so fast that it's becoming too dry. So very dry conditions. So we managed to squeeze out a little bit of moisture on the backside of that snow. Our deformation band is currently moving across Minnesota right now in the upper Midwest and the northern plains, but we're not seeing a lot of production. But we're seeing a lot of winds, and those temperatures are getting quite chilly out there at this time. Well, we were in the 50s yesterday, or in the 60s yesterday. We're only in the 30s right now. But there we are as we look at your morning forecast. So when you get up in the morning, that cold front is going to be approaching the Ohio Valley. So that front is going to be down from Mississippi through Ohio and eastern Canada, and it's going to be up there across the Great Lakes, and we're going to see rain all the way up into Nova Scotia and Newfoundland, but we're going to see snow on the backside of that low pressure coming down from Quebec, Ontario, and into Michigan and across the Great Lakes from Michigan, Lake Superior, and we're going to be seeing that snow over eastern Wisconsin and western Michigan is where we're going to see that snow predominantly tomorrow morning. And in the afternoon, we're going to see that snow wind down across the U.S. and predominantly be over Canada, but we're going to see rain and thunderstorms over the U.S., over the east. So we're going to see Ohio Valley thunderstorms. There will be a marginal risk for some severe thunderstorms tomorrow, but we don't see the signals for the extreme conditions possible today. Here we're going to see tomorrow evening. So as that cold front works its way across the east toward the Atlantic, we're going to see that rainfall begin to diminish over the mid-Atlantic, but continue in the Northeast and New England. So Boston, New York, Washington, Philly will continue to see those rain showers and some thunderstorms as well, but not as severe as what we could see across the Midwest today. So here is your Wednesday forecast across the country tomorrow. Again, look at those cold temperatures here across the upper Midwest. 23 in Minneapolis. International Falls is going to see a high of 12. Detroit is going to have a high of 56 tomorrow. So still mild, but we're going to see the colder temperatures as that front sweeps to the east. And that's going to be a very brief cool down across the upper Midwest and the northern plains and then across the Great Lakes. We're going to see those temperatures drop pretty substantially down to the south across the southern plains and the southern Mississippi River Valley as well. So Arkansas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, Missouri, Tennessee, Kentucky, southern Illinois, Indiana, we're going to see those temperatures where you're in the 80s today are in the 30s and 40s tomorrow. So a very sharp drop in the temperature, but that's only going to last a day, and things will recover quickly as we head into Thursday. We're going to see those mild temperatures begin to return. So we're going to be joining in on a roller coaster ride because we're going to see temperatures taking some wild swings up and down through the course of the next 7 days. Here is what we're looking at on the radar right now. See, I'm not seeing a lot of action as far as what looks like thunderstorms out over this area right now. So that cap is certainly doing its job. We're seeing some showers coming up from the south, but those aren't the thunderstorms we're looking for. Those thunderstorms are expected to develop here, northern Indiana, northern Illinois, and then across Michigan, Ohio as well. We can see those thunderstorms if they develop. It's a big if they're developed. So please, if you're watching this video, listen to what I'm saying. This forecast, as far as these thunderstorms are concerned, is a big if. Now, we do have some thunderstorms here across Pennsylvania. You can see a little bit of spin in the atmosphere there, and some of those thunderstorms there are moving, but they are not the ones we're looking for. I'm looking for storms around Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and Michigan, and maybe even eastern Wisconsin as well is where I'm expecting where we are expecting thunderstorms that I don't have much confidence in that forecast as it is. So here is that severe thunderstorm threat that we have across the Ohio Valley into this evening. This area right in here, southern Ohio, southern Indiana, Illinois, northern Kentucky is where we have that greatest threat for those severe thunderstorms. But a pretty good severe thunderstorm threat extends all the way up into Michigan, across Wisconsin, Milwaukee, Illinois as well, down across southern Missouri and northern Arkansas. We have that threat for those severe thunderstorms this evening. And we're going to see that potential here for very large tornadoes. EF2 tornadoes is where that greatest threat. Remember what I was saying, how I'm expecting them to develop here over northern Indiana and Illinois predominantly. Here is where that greatest threat for those very large EF2 tornadoes exists, over northern Illinois, around just south of Chicago, in Gary, Indiana. So we're talking about Pontiac, Illinois, Kankakee, maybe over Peoria, around LaSalle, Joliet, in those areas where we can see that potential for those big-time thunderstorms that I'm having less and less confidence in even developing. It's getting kind of late now. Okay, so if those thunderstorms do develop, they will be very rapidly because they're going to be breaking through the cap. So if they develop, they're going to pop up really fast. They're going to be too fast to catch up with. And so we're going to see the large hail threat across the Ohio Valley as well, and the same areas up there, northern Illinois, Indiana, down through the state of Indiana into Kentucky and Missouri as well. We're going to see that potential there for those severe thunderstorms that could produce 2-inch diameter size hail, and we're going to see those damaging winds across the Ohio Valley, extending mainly across Ohio, southern Indiana, southern Illinois, Kentucky, and Missouri, where we're going to see the potential for those damaging winds in excess of 75 miles per hour. So some very strong winds to look out for with some of these thunderstorms if they develop. They are a big if because they have to break through that cap. Here is the look for your Thursday, for your Wednesday, tomorrow, with the chance for thunderstorms across the east, from upstate New York through central Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, and western North Carolina is where we have a marginal risk for severe thunderstorms. These are going to be isolated severe, and we're going to be looking for damaging winds and some small hail with these severe storms if those develop. So here we are as we take a look at your forecast for your today, for the remainder of today. Those severe thunderstorms possible across the upper Midwest and into the Great Lakes. And then we have those thunderstorms and rain that we're going to see across the east tomorrow. Rain from Maine all the way down to the Gulf Coast, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Delaware, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island. We're going to see those rain showers and some thunderstorms. No snow is going to be expected in the east, but we will see some snow across parts of Michigan and as well as into parts of southern Canada. Across Ontario and Toronto is where we could see snow, if any. Not much snow is going to fall with this system, but you will notice the wind and you will notice the drop in the temperatures. The thunderstorms are a big if. So on Thursday, that storm clears out of the U.S. It's headed out over the Atlantic and over Nova Scotia, Labrador, and New Brunswick, Canada. So we're going to see those temperatures fall to the wayside over the east, highs in the 40s in New England, but we're going to see those temperatures in the 30s more along the Great Lakes and the St. Lawrence River Valley. Here is what's going on across the state of Texas. So we have to talk about fires. Big fires right now across the state of Texas, North Texas near Amarillo, Plainview, as well as down or Lubbock, Texas. We're seeing those large fires. So we got 4 fires. There is the big one has 200,000 acres. It's zero contained. That is the Borger fire. That is near the Oklahoma and the Texas border there, and that fire is 0% contained. Further to the south, we have what's called the Grapevine Creek fire. That fire is 20% contained and has burned about 30,000 acres at this time. And then over toward the west is the Joliet Pass fire. There is burned 2,963 acres, 90% contained. And we have the Windy Deuce fire, which is 20% contained and has burned 8,000 acres. Now, mind you, this area is currently under a high wind warning. There's also a critical fire danger where 55 plus mile per hour winds is blowing across the area. Very low dew point, so it's very dry, and there's very high wind, so it's the perfect fuel for fires. So here is your wind alerts and fire alerts across the southern plains today. North Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and Missouri, we have that fire weather alert. So we have a fire weather warning. So that is going to continue for the remainder of today. And we're going to see those high winds across the plains. We're going to have that wind warning across the plains. You can see that blue high wind warning. The winds are in excess of 50 miles per hour across southern Texas and New Mexico and southern Colorado area. So we got the potential for fires all over all of these areas. We have a high wind watch over the Nevada and over Oregon, but elsewhere we are looking at wind advisories from the upper Midwest across Minnesota, down through Iowa, Missouri, eastern Kansas, eastern Nebraska, Oklahoma, and down through Arkansas and through much of the Appalachian mountain areas where we have wind advisories, as we have those strong winds out ahead of our rapidly advancing cold front. Okay, look at the snow across the west. We're going to be looking at snow across the western U.S., the Cascade Mountains, as well as the Sierra Nevada Mountains in California. We're going to be looking at that snow up above 4,000 feet. And we're going to be seeing some areas picking up as much as 12 feet of snow above that 4,000 foot. And we have high winds out west as well. We're looking at those winds about 50 to 60 miles per hour across the Rockies as well. And here is that snowfall potential across the Cascade Mountains in the Washington area. We're going to be looking at most places picking up 1 to 3 inches of snow. So not much snow is falling there. But if you look out toward the west, out over Puget Sound, we're looking at a lot of snow over the mountains in Puget Sound. So a lot of snow over that way. Some areas can pick up at least 48 plus inches of snow. And we're going to see rain as well across the Seattle area, where we're looking at 2 to 3 inches of rain. Some areas over the Sound is going to pick up as much as 5 inches of rain. So if you're west of Seattle, over Puget Sound and Elliott Bay, you're going to be picking up about 5 inches of rain. And we're going to see that snow all the way down through Oregon as well. You could pick up as much as 4 to 6 feet. And we're going to be looking at that snow across California. We're going to be seeing that heavy snow down near southern Oregon, Vancouver, Portland. We can see 1 to 3 inches of snow. And we're going to be looking at snow over the a rain and snow mix over these areas as well. And then we also have that winter weather advisories across the west. Lots of areas under winter storm watches. We have a blizzard watch over northern California around Truckee, and in the Sierra Nevadas, we are looking at a blizzard watch. And then we also have a blizzard watch over North Dakota as well. We're going to be looking at a blizzard watch. And we have dangerous mountain travel. So if you're on I-80, I-84, I-90, and you're crossing over the Cascades, crossing over the Sierra Nevada, we're going to be looking at 5 to 12 feet of snow above the 5,000 foot level, about 6 feet of snow between 3,000 and 5,000 feet. And we're going to be looking at very dangerous travel conditions. So you're going to have to get those chains out, and there's going to be a lot of travel delays as you're crossing those mountains across the Intermountain West there through the Cascades and down into the Sierra Nevada mountains as well. Look at the snowfall forecast across the Sierra Nevada. This is across, there's Truckee right there. There is Mount Southern Lake Tahoe. We're going to be looking at that very heavy snow that we can be looking at, predominantly in excess of 8 feet of snow. So a lot of snow is going to fall across the Sierra Nevada as well. So that is your weather forecast for today. My name is Mr. G. Thank you for watching me today. Leave your likes, comments. Feel free to subscribe to the channel, and we'll be back tomorrow with another expanded weather forecast to take a look at what happens later tonight, if those storms ever do develop, and what's going to happen tomorrow. So I'll see you then. Have a great day. Feel free to subscribe. Leave your likes and comments as well. Bye-bye.